Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. Today is the Daily Color episode 168. I am still working on this giant flower from yesterday that uses the polychromos. I am not going to work on that anymore. I will continue tonight to finish the red section. So we are going to press on. Yesterday at the very end I was pointing to this little flower and this part of a flower, but you guys couldn't see it because I was off the page. This and this flower, these two parts, are going to be the Holbeins, and this larger flower is going to be Lightfast. And I have both sets of pencils ready. I am moving my camera down so it's closer to me. That is much better. I could even zoom into that flower a little bit. All right, and we will get started. Yeah, I was surprised last night how long that big flower took me. I am definitely still slow. Right when I think I am getting faster, something like that comes along and reminds me, nope, I am still just as slow as I ever was. I'm pulling out the 3 violets, light to dark. There's only 3 to work with because I only own a very small set of the Holbeins. The colors today, light to dark, 434 mauve or mauve, 446 amethyst, and 443 iris. And I am playing with some different techniques on these flowers to entertain myself. So I am wanting this flower to have a curved or scalloped. These will be curled looking when I finish them. So I put on many layers last night, and the polys, they are definitely a slower pencil than many of the budget pencils. I forget how slow they are. They like their light layers and they just want to layer up nice and slow. No need to be in a hurry. Slow down and relax. So I did not opt on the long blue petals. For whatever reason, they just didn't strike me as petals that I wanted to have curved like I want these. I don't know what the difference is. It's just whatever strikes my fancy. Part of it, remember, as I was saying yesterday, I do get a little bored. I am not good at repetition. Don't get me wrong, I can get in a groove if we're doing animal fur. I can spend hours and hours doing the animal fur. I have more patience for that than other coloring or crafting repetitious tasks. These are way softer than the polys. I can tell that you just barely touch the surface with them, and the color glues to them very easily. I want to get more emphasis on the dark. I actually was going to let you guys know that on the 4th of July I have plans, so I will be taking that day off of the daily color. I didn't know if my plans were really going to happen, but they have been confirmed. I am going to rotate. Again, I like to rotate because I figure anything I can do to help my hands out will benefit me in the long run. So feel free to rotate so that your hand stays as comfortable as it can possibly be. So I was doing the dark outlining, now I've got the middle color. This is the amethyst. And I think of amethyst as a softer, colder purple, not this berry color. This is more like blackberry juice. Lightest color, the mauve. I need to erase this right here. Well, that little tiny bit's okay, right there. I need to go back to the middle violet. I do have a fun embellishing plan for all of the outlines. I hope you guys can see the illusion of like a curled piece of paper or a rosette that's curled. Okay, I am going to go one last pass with this lightest. I see a little bit of the resist. It feels to me like the resist happens more with a softer, more buttery pencil. All right, this will finish this off. That is the look I am after. Okay, putting those away. I think the next color grouping I'm going to do is the blue. Now the blue on this particular one is pretty minimal. So I've just picked 3. Lightest to darkest. Oh, that's hard to read, isn't it? 343 turquoise blue, 347 cobalt blue, and 365 navy blue. There they are, starting with the dark. Oops. Well, that didn't go exactly where I wanted it. I think I'm going to have to... I have an eraser. So that is it for the dark. Now, finding... it's a little bit of a big eraser. Oh, that's perfect though. So these have the same chunkier diameter barrel that the poly has, but the tips have a much softer feel when you run the pigment along the paper, if that makes any sense. All right, that is it for the dark. Middle blue is the cobalt blue, 347. Just a smidge of this. I do have a light blue, and I'm torn between whether I want to do the turquoise, which I think is not going to be light enough. So let me try the light blue, which we haven't seen yet. Horizon Blue 312. And there we go. All right, that's the end of the blue. See how quick that was? All right. I'm gonna put these back. I do need to log my colors on the description, and we didn't use turquoise, so that one's gonna go this way. Trying to keep organized. I have these still in my case. I just flipped the ones I'm using the other direction. We are doing yellow next. And we have 3 yellows. We have yellow, orange, and orange. All right, here's what we've got. From the lightest to the darkest, 147 Canary, 142 Marigold, 140 Tangerine. I keep hearing the garage door, which I did not make sure was propped open. I'm doing the same effect here. We'll see if we can have this also have the appearance of being curled. I might not be going dark enough to make it effective like I did with the purples. Okay, now the lightest color. Yeah, it's not going to show unless I go one darker. But I think I will hold off. I do have a one darker. Oh, I even had it facing this way. I was supposed to use it. Well, in that case, I'm just going to grab it. So the darkest color is good old orange, 048. Yeah, that's not very sharp though. There it is. All right, next I have reds. I have 3. Reds are going to be way far away over here. They're not really red. They are oh yeah, they are red. Starting with a salmon, going to a burgundy. Here we go. The only reason why I can be using these Holbeins is that, well, number one, I started with picking colors that I had the combos, and I only purchased specific combos. All right, light to dark, carnation 31, madder red 52, crimson 62, burgundy 80. And I am absolutely doing this with the curved or scalloped effect. So this will officially, I believe, for this is round 3 that we're on of rotating through all of my pencils. And I think I've gone through, I have 6 sets of pencils, the professional ones. And they are 2 Caran d'Ache sets, the Luminance, which I believe I've already used, and the Pablos, which I for sure used. Oh yeah, I've used both of them. I used them back on the shelves page. So those 2 are used. Derwent Drawing was used on last week's heart, the heart page. And then I have 3 more sets I'm using right here, on this page. Holbein, Derwent Lightfast, and Polychromos. The only pencils that I do have that are professional that I'm not even bothering with, I think I own about 22 Derwent Artists. They are a very hard pencil, great for details, and I don't think that the tutorial person who used them, I don't think she uses them so much anymore. She has now some different ones, you know, as these sets have expanded to the 100s. She has been able to shift to using more of the luminance colors, like the percent. Neutral colored ones are really popular for animal portraits. These feel a lot more like a crayon. Kind of look like a crayon when you first put them down, where the polys, they look very faint and they don't have the heavy crayon-esque look to them. It's possible that I could use heavy pressure and overcome that if that's what I wanted to do, but I like using light pressure. Okay, we're working our way. I don't have a lot of room left, so I still have my lightest salmon color, so I am going to be very careful with how much of this lighter red I'm going to use. That little tiny bit back there. All right, now, lightest color, Carnation, 31. I'm doing a little burnishing of all of the colors. I think I'm going to leave a little strip of white. I say that because when I did the mock-up, trying to figure out how I was going to fit the Holbeins in, and because they were my starting set where I had to choose my colors from, it was a little bit dark because I didn't leave any white. And I think what you will find that I'm going to do I'm going to add, I had the only white in the Holbein that I have is the soft white. I am not sure if I should use the soft white. So I think for the moment, I'm going to call it done and just move on. I am already feeling, yesterday I was super slow. All right, so that should look rounded. Round, 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 round. Little scallops, rosettes, however you want to think of it. All right, so that is the end of our Holbein. That flower and that flower. Now we have this one. I'm going to rotate. I've got this mocked up. Just a couple of the, I didn't do the whole thing. I also didn't do the whole large one. I only did a few petals. Same for the Lightfast. Okay, so the Lightfast, I'm going to already say, they feel sticky to me, remember. They're a little tougher for me to work with. So, given that, I'm just going to grab the first set of colors. And we're going to see where we go. We have 5 blues. Oh boy, let's see if I can get the, because we have 2 mediums and 2 darks. So let's try 2. Hey, I found another flaw in one of these too. I'll show you in a minute. So what I did yesterday, day before yesterday, I took pictures. These only have names, so I've already got photos, and there's 2 photos with each set. Each photo has 2 of the color family sets for a total of 4. So we are going from light to dark, mid ultramarine sapphire, mid blue 70%, deep blue, and dark cyan. There is a flaw on there. So we had some bubble on the barrel dipped end here, 2 bubbles popped. I think I have I've already shown you guys one, the very end of the dip bubbled really big. And so you just have a chunk of metal on the end. They must have capped it with metal. So we're going to start with the dark. Now I did, what made me want to do the scalloping here is that when I was doing the Lightfast, I actually did it 2 ways. I did it radiating out like this blue, but I really liked when I did the scalloping. So I am going to do the exact same thing I was doing with the Holbein, only these are actually going to scallop very nicely because they're fatter. So what these do, which the Holbeins are a little softer, have more of a buttery feel, less of a sticky feel. These, when you get enough of the pigment down, they make a sound. It's a little clicking sound as you hit the end when you're doing your back forth and you're shifting back to the other direction. It's a little tick, tick, tick sound. I am going to go in chunks so that I can show you guys what I am after. That's me hitting the camera. I sharpened all of these. They all sharpened very nicely with the electric. The only professional set of pencils that don't play nice with the jar link are the Derwent drawing. They have just an insanely huge, like a 5mm, maybe even bigger, 5+ millimeter core. And I just find that I risk the core material getting on the sharpening blade, so I just use a manual sharpener. In fact, I take the top off my T-Gal, not the top, the back end off, so I can better control the shavings. So that was the third. Oh, this is Sapphire. So this is going to be a little brighter. I did get them in reverse order. So Sapphire comes one darker than the mid blue 70%. There goes that darn door. There was no wind today. Our pool instructor caught COVID, and it's very interesting. COVID is a different thing now. Not only did our pool instructor catch it, our mail delivery person was at our mail center delivering mail with a mask on because she tested positive. And it's like, wow, I can't believe that. I thought that if you have COVID, you don't want to work. You stay home. And then, of course, she's contaminating all of the mail parcels. She's delivering all of the packages. And we have a huge mail center. I should probably post a picture for you guys to see what our little postage. You can actually buy postage there, just the basics. And you can also, buy stamps. And they'll also sell you, you know, like a UPS priority label, and they have the label printers and everything there. I actually use a tool called Pirate Ship to do all of my shipping, and I have done that for a few years now. It is the best prices. Everybody goes in together. You don't pay anything for it, but you get to pay commercial pricing. I need the one darker. I've kind of moved on to the outer edges. I haven't even done the lightest blue yet. Sorry, I keep hitting my camera today. Okay, let's... Sapphire, that's the brighter blue. These are a nice firm pencil, which I like. They go to a point and they keep their point pretty well. I do tend to rotate just naturally as I move the pencil around. I always give it a little rotation. The Holbeins are a softer lead. Okay, so I see I want the sapphire. There's sapphire. These all look very similar here. I'm looking at the tips now. All four tips look pretty much the same except the lightest one. So when I'm pausing, it's me looking at the dipped end. This one's a fatter one. These are very inconsistent. Okay, lightest color of blue. This is when it will all come together. Almost want to sharpen this blue. It's like a periwinkle blue. Can you guys hear the tick, 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 tick as I go back and forth? So they are not the most pleasant. I would say they're almost the least pleasant. It's kind of a toss-up between these and the luminance. The luminance are a little bit messier, if you can believe that. And they also make the ticking sound. Okay, I have to smooth that out a little. Going back to Sapphire, because I want this bigger one to have a smoother transition. All right, moving on. I'm going to rotate again so that my hand can stay in the best position, most comfortable. Darkest color, dark cyan. So I have a tip for you guys that I have been doing lately. I have been looking for some ideas for the first romantic country page I'm going to do. And I'm not really finding anything by the names I'm trying to call it, like the fireplace page, the library page, the library with 2 cats. You know, those names are not netting me anything. So I have resorted to looking at completed book flip-throughs. When you're going through the flip-through, you will eventually see the page that you are curious about. And it's, you know, because that particular page is 3/4 through the book. So I've actually been enjoying, because I have not done a lot of completed flip-throughs where they're talking. I've done some of the silent ones, but I have found some where people are talking, and I actually like when they tell me about their experience and what they used and did they like it, and oh, this page took me forever, and oh, I had to do the background 3 times, and then here's the bleed through from the back to the front. So if I go 1.5 times speed, I can still hear them talking. They don't sound silly when they're talking. They're talking a little bit sped up, but not too terribly fast. And I get through to the page I am really wanting to see faster. So that is just a tip. Watch your people's, if you're wanting to go through pretty quickly and maybe stop at a certain section, you want to see a certain thing, go through it fast. I was going through it at double the speed, and that was too fast. I couldn't understand what they were saying. So I slowed down to 1.5, and that is pretty well perfect. All right, look at that. It's going to look like a blue ribbon rosette when it's all done. And then I'm going to go and introduce a different color in the middle, and it'll no longer look like a blue ribbon. When I first, not when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, I had this horse that my parents bought me. My dad bought it, but it was really my mom and I taking care of it. I was only 11, so I needed a little adult assistance. But I painstakingly earned the money with a paper route, aluminum cans, and babysitting. And I never liked babysitting, but I would do it for a horse. She was technically a pony. She was 13 3 hands, but a very tall pony. And I remember if we did she wasn't really a trained horse, and she was already 9 when we got her. So I pseudo-gamed with her, and she did not load up in horse trailers well. She could get in a stock trailer pretty readily. So I rode her. Got up very early. My mom would drop me off with her. I did have a saddle, but I mostly rode bareback back in that time. So I would ride her to the arena for like a little fun games show. And I was so thrilled with any ribbon that I earned. And I think I won Reserve High Point one time. That was like a highlight. And that was pretty much I did 4-H, went to the fairgrounds, did the gaming thing, but everybody was really good who did that. So we were not competitive in that division. As an adult, my husband and I are newly married. We decide we need our own hobbies. So he does Taekwondo. And actually that first year, I went to work at a barn. It was a raining barn that showed very high-end showing. So that was probably a mistake. Because, of course, they let me ride a little bit. And then I leased a horse. Really enjoyed that. And then the next year, it was time to get my own horse. So we're now moving to the third lightest. The mid blue is lighter than the, I want Sapphire. Sapphire. So my mom was going to buy a horse at the same time, and I probably already told this story, but I didn't tell it from this angle. So I had this horse. I bought it, it was 2 years old. I kept it there for a few months, but you know, they want people who are in professional training and they're going to be showing at the very highest level, and I just, at this point, was just thrilled to have a horse, any horse. But that young horse did so well. I didn't own a trailer, so I had to go with other people, but I always found people to show with. And I started out getting, you know, some placings here and there. I did the green horse, the walk trot, you know, the baby classes, because that first year he was just 2. And then by 4, oh my gosh, he was so competitive. It was pretty fantastic. And I won staring at this blue ribbon. I would go as an adult, you know, I was in the, you know, 18 and over. And so we could go and win. We, you know, because in those days I showed in every class. And we would come home with, you know, maybe all blues, a second, and a third, and a high point for the day. We won so many high points that year. So by the time he was 5, I had already put feelers out that I was going to be selling him at the end of the year. So I had him sold to the very first people, and this is way back, for $5,000. And the next people, if these people for whatever reason backed out, he was going to be for them for $6,500, because he just ended up being so good. And there was this thing I did called Zone Challenge, and it was in Eastern Washington. That's probably the farthest I ever traveled with him to. And we went, and I did the Western Day, and I think we won like almost everything. Then a gal who actually hauled me, she didn't have a horse to show for some reason, so she asked if she could show him in the English classes, and he won almost everything. It was crazy. So I did sell him, and then I had already been given a baby, so I had him and another horse. So I was really needing him to go, because the other horse that was, he was given to me, very well bred, and I broke him myself when he was 2, and then I put him in training. I couldn't get him to lope. Oh my gosh, he was so lazy. So he would walk, he would trot, but he could not lope with me. So I had to put him in training for a little bit to get him going. And he actually was also really competitive. I had him for quite a few years. I think I sold him when he was 7. So I had him 5 years. So this ribbon is this looks like a rosette from a first place ribbon, which brings back memories. And that horse, actually, I did not show him at Zone. I showed him at quarter horse shows. And that year we were in the novice, which is the kind of the beginner classes. And we won, for high points at each of those shows were belt buckles. We won 13 belt buckles in 1 year. It was pretty insane. Very competitive. It really pushed me. I even at the very end got some help from a gal who was at a barn local to my house. So we taught him to do reining, put sliders on him, and he I got to show him a couple times, and then the people who bought him did a little bit of reining. But the young girl who had him ended up not being too serious, so he got sold to a 14-year-old who was more serious and did a lot more with him. Yep, reminds me of all my horsey days. Okay, I'm going to the lightest color now. Softening up this top on all of them. See how time consuming this is? How long? We're at 45 minutes and I'm not even done. Okay, so I am going to finish the rest of these. I'm going to set this down. At this point, it's going to take me forever and a day. All right. Yellow is tiny. I am going to grab, I have 4 yellows, but the 4 yellows are just for this middle. So let's get that done. I'm going to grab the yellow orange. There it is. That one that I grabbed, this is amber gold. So you're going to see a photo of all 4 of them, but I'm only using yellow and yellow gold. Here's that. Moving. Yeah, I guess I can't talk and color very efficiently. Reds. We've got reds and purples. These are the purples. All right, purple, I won't do all of them. I will just do a couple, and then I will be doing a lot more coloring tonight. So this gets pretty narrow. Our colors are light to dark, heather, wild lavender, magenta, Bordeaux, and purple. Starting with the dark. And again, I'm only going to do a couple of these. I'll do 3. Next lightest color. This should be kind of the violet berry color. Getting lighter, magenta. Now, the next 2 are kind of silly how light they get. They're both so light. Here is the darker of the 2. Yep, wild lavender. I'm doing a little burnishing of all the darks, pushing them into the tooth. I am going to do just a tiny bit of this heather, which is the lightest color. All right, hopefully those look sufficiently rounded. Now we're going to show you the reds. I told you we were going to have to do some 1 hours. I'm definitely going to have to add more time. I see 3 reds. Well, it's hard for me to know. Using the tips, tells me that Scarlet is the lighter. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. If I go by the tips, Derwent Red is lightest. That's how close these are. Okay, let's just see what we've got. Derwent Red might be the lightest. Toss up between Derwent Red and Scarlet. And then Cherry Red is the darkest. We'll see if it's a pretty small space. I'm going to start with the darkest, which is Cherry Red. It's not very sharp. It could be that this color right here... Oh, I have one more. Look at that. Raisin. That's the dark. It looks brown, but it is not. It is a dark berry color. All right, we're just going to do a few of these. And then we'll have to call it. And I have not thought about doing a light in the middle, because see, light in the middle here would be dark on these scalloped. So I was just filling these in, just like this purple here. Okay, so that's the darkest. Switching to Cherry Red. Next is Derwent Red. Oh, did I say that this was the lightest? Here, let's try the Scarlet. Let's figure out which one is the lightest of the two. I think Scarlet's the lightest. I'm going to burnish with the Scarlet. This is Derwent Red. And I will be coloring the night away, finishing up first with the Polychromos and then finishing this one, and I did finish the Holbein. And by tomorrow I will be prepared with at least a couple. Tomorrow's the 3rd, so the 4th, which is Thursday, I will be celebrating okay, so that is Holbein finished. This is the other part of the Holbein down there, and then that is what the Lightfast looks like. And I will catch up tonight. We will do this all again tomorrow. Do all of the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and consider subscribing. And we will see you same time tomorrow.